I met a gypsy.
And now, yeah, you don't really see that as much. It doesn't seem like, but Ducati seems to be like they did Chips, my Dax Shepard's movie Chips 2, they had a lot of bikes in that, a lot of Ducatis. Like I think Ducati tries to get in.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people like just using Ducatis because
I just want a Ducati in my garage.
Yeah.
Like I did an ambassador thing with Ducati in Australia, and it was 2 years, and it was just like the coolest shit.
Yeah.
Because I just always had a fucking Ducati in my garage. And I got to do, first time I ever did track days, first time I ever like really rode like street bikes.
Yep.
And dude, it just the coolness and like it's the Ferrari of two wheels.
Yeah.
Like realistically, you know, the sound of the dry clutch. Yeah. Always get like it has to be dry because all the other ones are wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the sound of the clutch, and it's just got an aura around it. You know, I think Ducati's definitely would be responsible for so many of, I guess, just like general interest in bikes because they almost like transcend. It's like more than a bike in a way, you know.
So my first year with Ducati was in 22.
Yeah.
And all before that, you know, I think I didn't just hate on Ducati, but I just didn't see it. Yeah. And then I started riding the Ducati, and I started seeing like how people, you know, you're just the story went from, oh, you race motorcycles, you know. I'm sure you've heard it before, but in street bikes, it's like, oh, you jump, you do the jumps. I'm like, no, like I do this street bikes, like we turn. Oh, you put your knee on the ground. Yeah, I'm like, actually, now people put their shoulders on the ground. Like, not me, but some guys. And but now it's like when they say, oh, what bike do you ride? You know, before you could say, I ride an R1. Like, oh, it just goes in one ear out the other. But oh, I race a Ducati. They're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And to me, the coolest thing in a long time has been when I signed with Ducati. And I can tell people that don't know anything about our sport that I ride a Ducati, and then they're interested just because they hear Ducati.
Yep.
Like the brand, the way that they've built the brand to make people just attracted to it is so insane to me. And now going to like dealer meetings sometimes, like, you know, in Spain or Italy, like just listening to the way they talk to the dealers and tell them like it's all about the experience and just seeing how they built the brand. It's pretty nuts to me that, I mean, they are who they are without even having to race or anything. People just like the way the image that they are. I don't know.
Oh, it's so true. When I was working with them, I would go and do track days. Like they rent out Phillip Island, and it's just for people that own Ducatis.
Yeah.
And some of the people that you would meet, bro, crazy.
Yeah.
Just these like mega wealthy business dudes that would have like these $100,000-$200,000 Ducatis, and they're sending them around Phillip Island. Like there's just such a cool culture around the people that own them. And I imagine that's what it's like if you own a Ferrari or a Porsche, or, you know, like it kind of comes with, you're buying the bike, but then you're buying the whole thing. You're buying the aura, you're buying the community, you're buying into the brand.
Yeah. It's going in, so they call them the DRE days or Ducati Revs. Like the DRE ones are where it's like only Ducati owners and stuff. And it's cool because a guy, Jay Root, that works at Ducati, he has gotten me now going to a lot of the dealers. Like it used to be before where I would be like forced to go to some dealers and do events. Like they do like signings before a race, right? Now it's like, hey, this dealer is going to pay you. You come out and do your thing. And I just hang out with them. So I get to meet a lot of like, you know, number one customer of whatever in Oregon or whatever. So it's crazy how much money they spend, and they just collect. Like they'll go ride them, but they just buy like, you know, the Superleggera just to like have it. And it's a collector thing. Like tonight at Ducati Newport, there's a Supreme unveiling. So like there's like a Supreme party for like a special edition, you know, Supreme bike with jacket and helmet and stuff. And it's like a cool party. Like no other brands do stuff like that. So that's why they are as special as they are, because they get it. And yeah, it makes them what they are. So
yeah, no, it is sick, man. Some of the dudes had like these full Troy Bayliss, like fucking super bikes that he raced, and they're like buying these. It was mind blowing, dude. Like absolutely mind blowing.
People buy our race bike like when we're done with them for like $250,000, and then they have to hire like a Ducati guy. Like my crew chief needs to go and work on their bike. Like to me, and they're just going and ripping it at a track day. I'm like, that is insane. Like I mean, not nowadays. It's not a house, but that's a house.
Like, it used to be a house.
Yeah. Like, and you just go and crash it, and you're just like, oh well. Like, it is sick though. Like, it's cool meeting those guys and I like going. That's why I like coaching, is because I get to go coach these guys for a day and hang out with them. Like, not everybody can afford to pay someone $2,000 to just go hang out and help them ride a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you get to hear really cool stories. Like, it's almost like sitting and doing podcasts with somebody. Like, that guy, the stories of, how these guys got successful, like, you learn a lot. So it's fun.
That is sick. Yeah. Have you, you've mentioned Dax before. Have you got to ride with him?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, motorcycling, like, I used to try not to talk about it a whole lot because I didn't want people thinking I'm like, would meet someone
Name dropping.
Yeah. But now that I'm getting a little bit older, like, I'm not like embarrassed to talk about it more because it is cool. Like,
well, it's cool for our sport.
Yeah.
Like, to know that those people, like, Keanu Reeves owns a fucking motorcycle company.
Yeah.
Like, we should be very excited about that as motorcycle fans.
Yeah. And I see the importance of it, but, like, the name dropping thing is weird sometimes. Like, some people you could tell they want to do it. But the lowest point in my career, I just happened to meet these guys at a track day. And I like had no money at the time, and they just invited me to come out and just hang out with them one day, and then it turned into like, oh, I'm going to live on their couch. And it was, that group of people have been like, one of them, officiated my wedding. Like, it's, they're really amazing people, but they're all involved in the movie industry with stunt stuff or with like training the actors and stuff. So that group was real tight with Channing Tatum, who's become a good friend, Dax Shepard, who's become a good friend. And then we end up going to track days, or like not track days, but just our own private things.
Yeah.
And one day it's like Channing Tatum, Dax Shepard, Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt. And I'm just like, whoa, like, what is going on? Like, motorcycles brought me here. And that's what I was going to say earlier, is like, I was embarrassed to talk about it. Like, if people brought it up, or if they came to a race, obviously people saw. But, we grew up, we still watch movies. Like, I love going to the movie theaters. I wouldn't say I'm like a super weird fan of these guys, but they're actors. Like, everybody in the world likes watching movies.
Yeah.
So for a while, I kind of didn't talk about it unless someone would bring it up. But now lately, I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, that is cool. Like, Channing Tatum is a really good friend of mine, and like, I consider him a great human being, and he's done a lot for me. Like, when I was at a really low spot, was like paying for a lot of stuff for me and letting me use his gym and letting me use his hyperbaric chamber to get better. And like, it was awesome. Like, before, like, I remember one time before, what are the ketones? Is that what everybody's taking now? You know what that is? Like, the little drink.
Yeah.
Like, before it got big, like, I remember he like spent like $1,000 to get us like to try it. And like, he's like, just go try this on the track. Like, cause he was super into it and thought it was cool, the same way that I think it's cool that he's an actor. Like, I think that's neat.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.